Okay, so our first equation is what? X plus y equals 28. Very good. So then we're going to look at individual triangles. We're going to look at this one here. Where we have x and h, and it is a 18 and 12 slope. So 18 over 12 equals h over x. Cross multiplying gives you 18x and 12h. 18x equals 12h. Dividing by 18, x equals 2/3 h. So that means this is going to be 2/3 h. Got to figure out what y is going to be yet, so let's go back to the drawing board for y, which is going to be this triangle, which will be h and y. And a 3/12 slope. So 3 over 12 equals h over y. Cross multiplying gives us 3y and 12h. 3y equals 12h yields, dividing by 3, y equals 4h. Put in 4h for y. So I replaced the x with the 2/3 h and the y with the 4h. Now what? We combine the 2/3 and the 4h to get 4 and 2/3 h equals 28. And then divide by 4 and 2/3. So 28 divided by 4 and 2/3 is 6. H is 6. Well, now x is 2/3 h, so it is 2/3 times 6, otherwise known as 4. And y is 4h, 4 times 6, otherwise known as 24, which does add up to 28. I always figure out separately just so I can add them up to confirm.
Wait, can you go to that last part again?
X is 2/3 h, right?
Yeah.
Since h is 6, put in 6. 2/3 times 6 is 4 for x. And y is 4h.
Is there a way to set that up in matrix?
Yes, but not simply. It'd be a 4 by 5 matrix.
Oh,
What? Try this one. Find x and y. So where do we start here?
4 over 12 equals h over x.
Okay, well, first of all, I would always start off with x plus y equals 36. So then we're going to look at this triangle right here. This is x. This is h minus 8/12. It's subtracting 8 inches, right? 8 inches is 8/12 of a foot. So you've got the 4 over 12 equals h minus 8/12, of course, is 2/3 over x. I'm going to pause. Anybody have questions on where that came from?
just give me a second.
Okay.
They're completely restarted, so. I'm just gonna erase all of this for now.
4 and 16. So if I cross multiply here, 4 times x is 4x. 12 times h minus 2/3. So that's going to give me 4x equals 12 times h is 12h. Negative 2/3 times 12 is a negative 8. And now, if you recall how we divide by 4, then we're going to divide everything over here by 4. So x equals 12 divided by 4 is 3h, minus 8 divided by 4 is minus 2.
Okay.
So x here becomes 3h minus 2. Plus, now we got to figure out what y is going to become. So over here, this is y, this is h minus 32 over 12. So we've got 16 over 12 equals h minus 32 over 12 over y. Now 32 over 12 can be reduced to
What, like 2 and
8 over 3.
8? Yeah.
8 over 3 we're going to leave it as for now. So now we cross multiply. Here we got 16y. And here we've got 12 times h minus 8 over 3. I will pause for a moment for you. So 16y equals 12 times h is 12h minus 12 times 8 over 3 is 32. So now we shall divide by 16. So 16 is gone. We got y equals 12h over 16 is 3/4 h. Negative 32 over 16 is negative 2. So y equals 3/4 h minus 2. That still equals 36. So 3h and 3/4 h makes 3 and 3/4 h. Negative 2 and negative 2 makes negative 4 equals 36. And then we shall add 4. 3 and 3/4 h equals 40. And then
You divide out by 3 and 3/4.
divide by 3 and 3/4. So consolidate. So you get 10 and 2/3.
Sure. I'm gonna go with them.
Is that what you get? No. Sure it is. 10 and 2/3. So h is 10 and 2/3 feet. Or 10 foot. 2/3 of a foot is 8 inches. You should be recognizing that by now, right? So now what? X is 3h minus 2, right?
Wait, hold on. So, is that, do we not have to worry about that 8 inches and the 32 inches?
Nope, that was already accounted for. That's h is what we found is all the way up. This here is going to be 8 inches less. This here would be 32 inches less. But we already counted. That's why we did the h minus the 10 over 12 or 8 over 12 and the h minus 32 over 12. We accounted for those rises.
Okay.
So it truly is h that we found here.
Okay.
So x is 3h minus 2. 3 times 10 and 2/3 is what? 32. Minus 2 is 30. So x is 30. Now we know y is going to be 6, but let's just verify it. Y is 3/4 h minus 2. 3/4 times, excuse me, right now the sneeze there, 10 and 2/3 minus 2. 3/4 times 10 and 2/3 is 8, minus 2 is 6. So what do you think? Is that doable?
Yeah.
Better than a sharp stick in the eye?
A little bit. Try to shave your glasses out. Okay, that'll be good.
Yes, sir.
So do you always have to run through it that whole way?
Yeah, kind of.
Because when I did it, I got the same answers, but I didn't do the 2/3 and 8/3.
Well, yeah.
I just put the 8 in because I.
Well, the problem is if you change your span, then to inches, you'd be okay. If you change that from 36 feet to, 432 inches, you'd be fine.
The same thing that you got.
Yeah, but you're mixing inches and feet. Is the only problem.
So you're saying if that changed, then this would be out.
That would be fine. You'd be okay with it then.
I'm still confused.
Hang in there. Okay, so next thing we're going to work on, we are going to work on a porch truss. A porch truss. A porch truss has a change something. A lot of times you build a porch, you have the roof here, and then you just tie into the existing roof and extend it out and put a porch on it like that. Look familiar? Well, this has that porch already built into it, so it's all structural. So let's say that we have a 12-12 slope here, 12-12 slope there, and let's go with a 6-12 slope here. And a 32-foot span. Is it possible to find H, X, Y, and Z? Is it possible?
Questions. X can equal Y. No, never mind.
No, not going to equal Y. You're right.
Considering I have yes.
We know that X plus Y plus Z equals 32, right? We know that X equals H, right?
No. How? How do you know that? How?
I took a little shortcut. I took a little shortcut. Yeah, 12 over 12 slope, H over X, so the X has to equal H.
This didn't work like it in the drawing.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Here's the problem, though. To get this height, in the dual slope truss, we found the height coming from this direction, which we did here, X equals H. Now we got to find the height coming from this direction, but we have this piece here. I'm just going to call this part A and this part B. A plus B equals H.
wait, first B.
B is the bottom. So A plus B equals H. A 12 over 12 equals A over Y, correct?
That would make sense.
Okay, so cross multiply here, y equals a. Here, this is a 612. We got 6 over 12 equals b over z.
So B or Z equals 1 half B. Or did I get that backwards?
Z equals 2b. Or b equals 1 half z. The question is, do we have enough restrictions here to make this work?
Probably. Do we need to know that little, that cutaway area, that height?
All right, well,
wait, that's B. That's
let's
B.
come back over to here. We know that a equals y and b equals 1 half z. And that all equals, adds up to h, right? We're just replacing a and b here. We found up here that a equals y, right here, right?
Right. A equals.
So we put y in where the a was. We found over here that b equals 1 half z, so we put 1 half z in where the b was. So we know that y plus 1 half z equals h.
So then that also means that y plus 1 half Z equals X. Or is that not relevant?
Well, here's the thing. We've got an issue here. I can replace x with h here. I can split this up into y plus 1 half z plus 1 half z, right? I split the z into 2 halves. That's what I did.
Why would you?
Because y plus 1 half z equals h. I replaced this with h. But I still have 1 half z there that's unaccounted for. So what I got is 2h plus 1 half z equals 32. I can never get rid of that 1 half z. It's kind of stuck there.
What?
It doesn't match up is what I'm saying. We needed a variable to disappear on us and it didn't do it. We don't have enough information here is what I'm saying.
But you already solved it in your head.
Did I?
You wrote down the answers.
Yeah.
Could you also replace y with a? I mean, because so it wouldn't really matter.
You could replace y with a, but you don't.
It's gonna be the same answer either way. I was just wondering if a went there for a little bit, but I understand.
It's just you're just changing any new variables all you're doing. We can never totally get rid of our variables. We can get rid of the x and we can get rid of the y, but we can't get rid of the z. Is basically what I'm saying here.
But you're saying we're still missing half of the z?
Yeah. With the information I gave you, it's impossible. But I'm going to give you a new piece of information. I'm going to tell you that x is 12 feet. If I tell you x is 12 feet, see if you guys can solve this the rest of the way on your own. Oops.
So that means A equals 6.
Okay, so what we have here, we know that this here adds up to how much? That adds up to 20. 32 minus the 12 gives us 20 there. So that y plus z equals 20. Now here we already figured out that y equals a, correct?
Yeah.
And here we already figured out that z equals 2b, correct? Okay. So A plus 2B equals 20. We just replaced Y and Z, correct?
Okay. Yes.
We also, however, know that A plus B equals 12, because H is 12. We found this.
Yeah.
If I multiply this bottom equation by a negative 1, that's now a negative B, or negative A, negative B, and negative 12. And I add the columns.
Oh, now we're doing
Systems of equations. A plus negative B is gone. 2B plus negative B is just 1B. 20 plus negative 12 is 8. So B equals 8. If B is 8, Z is 2 times 8, or 16. Which means Y equals 4. How many of you had 16 and 4?
I can't truthfully put my hands up to that question.
I can.
You got it, you just don't know how you got it.
I got it because you wrote the numbers up on top of the board. Right. I'm not going to look at who writes the numbers on the screen.
Find H, X, and Y here. So what do we know?
We know
That from here to here is 32 feet, correct?
that was the first thing I did.
So X plus Y is 32. Next, we know that 16 over 12 equals H over 12. So cross multiplying and dividing tells us that H equals 16 feet. So if I define A and B so that A plus B equals H, or 16, I can now look at A compared to X here. 16 over 12 equals A over X. Gives me 16X equals 12A, or X equals 3/4 A. 16 times X, 12 times A. Right? You see where the 16 over 12 equals A over X is? I'm looking at this triangle right here. There's a 16-12 slope. So 16 over 12 is its slope. This is a rise of A and a run of X. So A over X. So 16 times X is 16X. 12 times A is 12A. We just divide it by 16 to get X equals 3/4 A. So that means this is 3/4 A. Now down here, this is a 4/12 slope, right? 4 over 12. What's the rise on that triangle? B is the rise and Y is the run. Very good. So if I multiply 4 times Y is 4Y. 12 times B is 12B. So 4Y equals 12B, or Y equals 3B. So I'm going to rewrite that top equation is going to be 3/4 A plus 3B equals 32. I just replaced X and Y up here with the equivalents of A and B.
Why does that? I don't understand why that helps.
Why does that help? Because now we have two equations and two variables. We have a plus b equals 16. We have 3/4 a plus 3b equals 32. So, I am going to multiply the top equation by a negative 3, which makes that negative 3a plus negative 3b, or minus 3b, equals a negative 48. So now I still have the 3/4 a plus 3b equals 32. Negative 3 plus 3/4 is a negative 2 1/4. Okay. Negative 3 and positive 3b disappear. Maybe go back a step. Negative 48 plus 32 is a negative 16. So a is negative 16 divided by 2 1/4, or 7.11. Look right? In other words, A is 7 1/9. B is 8 8/9. Correct? So that makes Y. Anybody?
That makes. Hold on. Y equals 3 and B equals. Okay.
26 foot 8 inches. Where did I get that? Y equals 3B. B is 8 8/9, right? So 3 times 8 8/9. 8 times 9 is 72, plus that is what? 80 over 9. So I'll put this over 1, cross cancel the 3 and the 9 to make 1 and 3. So this is 80 over 3. 80 divided by 3 is 26 2/3, right? Do you need to slow down a bit? X is equal to 3/4 A, and A is 7 1/9. So X equals 3/4 times 7 1/9. So that's 3/4 times 64 over 9. 3 and 9 make 1 and 3. 4 and 64 make 1 and 16. So that's 16 over 3, or 5 1/3. So that's 5'4". And yes, that does add up to 32 feet. And we are a couple minutes over for the class. So you guys should be able to finish the packet pretty close by now. So tomorrow we're going to finish up the packet. You guys will take home a quiz.